There comes a moment in a man's life when he begins to notice subtle shifts, quiet changes that are easy to ignore but impossible to deny. And one of the most misunderstood of these changes is the transformation of erectile function after the age of 40, a topic often surrounded by silence, confusion, and unnecessary fear. Yet it holds a powerful truth that can either discourage you or awaken you, depending on how you choose to understand it. Because what many men interpret as decline is often the body's way of communicating deeper needs, urging attention, care, and awareness. And if you pause long enough to listen, you may realize that this is not an ending, but a signal, not a weakness, but a redirection toward a healthier, more conscious version of yourself, as emphasized in many educational discussions inspired by Dr. Rina Malik, who often highlights that the male body does not simply fail without reason. It adapts, it reflects lifestyle, and it mirrors internal health. Meaning that erectile changes are rarely isolated events. They are deeply connected to circulation, hormones, mental well-being, and daily habits. And this is where the story becomes more empowering than alarming. Because when you begin to understand that reduced blood flow may be linked to cardiovascular health, or that hormonal shifts may reflect stress, sleep, and nutrition, suddenly the narrative changes from helplessness to possibility, from confusion to clarity, and what once felt like an embarrassing issue transforms into an opportunity to improve your entire well-being. Yet most men never reach this realization, because they either ignore the signs or assume it is simply age taking its toll. But age itself is not the enemy. Neglect is, and the body after 40 is not broken. It is more responsive, more revealing, and more honest about what it needs. And if you choose to see these changes as feedback rather than failure, you step into a different mindset, one that is proactive, instead of reactive, one that seeks solutions rather than hiding from the problem. Because the truth is that erectile function is not just about performance. It is a reflection of vitality, energy, and internal balance. And when that balance begins to shift, it is your invitation to realign your habits, your priorities, and your understanding of health itself. And this is where your journey begins, not with fear, but with awareness, not with shame, but with curiosity. Because the moment you decide to understand your body instead of judging it, you unlock the power to change the outcome. And what lies ahead is not just information, but a perspective that may completely reshape how you see your health, your confidence, and your future as a man. As you move deeper into this understanding, something unexpected begins to surface. A quiet realization that the changes you once dismissed may actually be early signals of something far more significant. Because erectile function is not an isolated system, but a reflection of your body's most vital networks working in harmony or falling out of sync. And this is where the suspense begins to build. Because what if these changes are not just about intimacy, but about your heart, your blood vessels, and your long-term health? What if the body is warning you years before a more serious condition appears? And many medical insights, including those inspired by Dr. Rina Malik, often point out that reduced erectile quality can sometimes be one of the earliest indicators of cardiovascular issues, long before symptoms like chest pain or fatigue ever show up. And that idea alone shifts everything, because now the question is no longer why is this happening to me, but rather, what is my body trying to tell me before it is too late? And when you sit with that thought, it becomes clear that ignoring these signs is no longer an option, because the same blood vessels responsible for erections are among the smallest in the body, meaning they are often the first to show signs of reduced circulation. And what feels like a personal struggle may actually be a physiological message about your overall vascular health. And alongside this, hormonal changes begin to play their role, as testosterone levels gradually decline with age, not abruptly, but steadily, influencing energy, mood, and sexual function in ways that are often subtle yet deeply impactful. And when combined with modern lifestyle factors like chronic stress, lack of sleep, poor diet, and limited physical activity, the body starts to operate under strain, creating a perfect environment for these changes to become more noticeable. And yet the most surprising part of this entire process is how reversible many of these factors can be when addressed early. because the body is remarkably resilient when given the right conditions. But here lies the tension, the moment of truth that many men face. Will you continue to ignore these signs and hope they resolve on their own? Or will you confront them with awareness and take control before they evolve into something more serious? Because the difference between decline and recovery often lies in a single decision. The decision to act, to understand, and to change. And this is where your mindset becomes your greatest asset. Because once you recognize that these changes are not random, but deeply connected to your daily choices, you begin to see that every habit either supports your health or silently works against it. And that awareness, while uncomfortable at first, is also incredibly empowering. Because it places the control back in your hands, reminding you that your future is not defined by age alone, but by how you respond to the signals your body is already giving you. And now you arrive at the most important realization of all, the point where awareness must transform into action, because understanding without change leaves you exactly where you started. And the truth is that your body is far more responsive than you may believe, even after 40, even after signs have begun to appear. Because improvement is not reserved for the young. It belongs to the consistent, the disciplined, and the intentional. And when you begin to align your lifestyle with what your body truly needs, you create an environment where recovery and strength can quietly rebuild themselves, starting with the most fundamental element of all, blood flow, which thrives on movement, meaning that regular physical activity is not optional but essential, as it strengthens the cardiovascular system, improves circulation, and directly supports erectile function in a natural and sustainable way. And alongside movement comes nutrition, not as a temporary diet, but as a daily commitment to fueling your body with whole balanced foods that support hormone production and vascular health, while reducing processed intake that slowly damages these systems over time. And then there is sleep, often overlooked, yet deeply powerful, because this is when your body restores hormonal balance, repairs tissues, and resets mental clarity. And without it, even the best habits struggle to take effect. And as you integrate these changes, something deeper begins to shift within you, a sense of control, a quiet confidence that grows not from external validation, but from the knowledge that you are actively taking care of yourself. And this mindset is something that voices like Dr. Rina Malik consistently emphasize, that men's health is not about perfection, but about awareness, education, and proactive care. And there is also strength in knowing when to seek professional guidance, because recognizing the need for medical support is not a sign of weakness, but a sign of responsibility, especially when symptoms persist or worsen, as early intervention can prevent complications and provide tailored solutions that align with your specific condition. And as you reflect on everything you have learned, the fear that once surrounded this topic begins to fade, replaced by clarity and purpose. Because you now understand that erectile function is not just a measure of performance, but a reflection of overall health, a signal that invites you to pay attention, to make changes, and to prioritize your well-being in a way that benefits every aspect of your life. And the journey forward is not about reversing time, but about optimizing the present, making choices today that your future self will thank you for. Because every step you take toward better health is a step toward greater vitality, confidence, and longevity. And if you are benefiting from our topics, please subscribe, like, and turn on the bell notification so you can see our new videos early.